All right. Welcome to Side Action, episode 25 of season 5. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. So, Action, I don't know if you got an extra day off. I did. It was a nice long holiday weekend for me. Did you enjoy yourself?
No days off here. It was
Yeah.
a day on for President's Day. Very busy day. In fact, it's been a busy week. So to the grind, but we had a nice relaxing weekend. That was good. Just kind of laid low, did some things around the house and ran some errands. It was nice weather on Sunday. We got out a little bit. So how about you? How was your weekend?
It was good. I told you a little bit of the story of the weekend. Finally some stuff came in. Wegs isn't completely broke now. It's great. Went out on Saturday, kind of a fun night. Ended up at the Holiday Club. I mean, who doesn't end up there at some point? And saw some of our friends, the Stanfords. Matt and Mary Stanford dancing away. I was with another friend just dancing and turned to my right, and I didn't have my glasses at first. I'm like, I think that's Matt and Mary. And then like put my glasses on. I'm like, yep, that's them. And it was like, hey, what's up? And it's who you find at 2:15 in the morning at Holiday Club. That's what that's real friendship right there.
Yeah, that reminds me of a story like right before we moved from Chicago. Melissa and I went to see a St. Lucia show in like on Milwaukee somewhere, and Matt Stanford turned around and he saw us. He was like, "Oh, hey!" He was like 2 rows in front of us. It was funny.
He's everywhere.
Yeah,
He's everywhere.
totally.
So yeah, and then my brother came to town with his family, my niece and my sister-in-law, and I did have Monday off and did some skating. We hit Russian tea time. If you've ever been there, it's a very cool place. You can go for dinner, but they have high tea, so those little tea cakes and sandwiches and stuff. Very good. And then let's face it was Mardi Gras last night, Action. So, Jimmy Weggs likes to go to his place, Pearls, down the street, get my jambalaya and my mac and cheese. Decided to get the bread pudding, probably a mistake. And after 2 hurricanes, I befriended some gentlemen at the bar. And next thing you know, we're just pounding Abitas. I had 4 Abitas after that. The guy got laid off. We were trying to make him feel better. And needless to say, I was a little banged up this morning after a good Mardi Gras, though. And
From
really
the
full.
pudding cake got you banged up, or
well, I mean, I had jambalaya, I had mac and cheese this side, I had 2 hurricanes, and then I got the bread pudding,
okay.
which was delicious. But then these guys we started talking. I'm like, you want a beer? I'm like, okay, I'll have an Abita. Have you ever had Abita?
Yeah,
Amber,
yeah.
really good beer. Started drinking it. I don't drink a lot of beer these days, Action. Um, we started throwing. I mean, I had 4 beers with these guys. I don't drink beer. My gut was so like full, distended from all that food and brewskis. It's okay. I made it through, but I made it a true Fat Tuesday. Let's just put it that way.
Nice.
Well, anyway, let's get into college basketball. Our main topic now, besides my drinking exploits. So we didn't do as good as last week. It was about 50-50, the in-game thing. I'll tell you about in a minute. So 4-5 overall, including the first half cover for Memphis. So, we did pick Maryland against Purdue. Talk about Maryland. They're playing really well. They won again tonight, I believe. So they're playing really good basketball. We should have stuck with the Lobos. I'm sorry, Lobos. By the way, it's the Spartans of San Jose State. I looked that up after the the pod.
Spartans, Trojans.
Yeah, they're all whatever.
Story.
It's all Greek to me. Anyway, so New Mexico crushed San Jose State. So sorry about that.
Yeah, well, they got Jalen House back. That was the difference.
Yeah,
they didn't have him in the 2 games preceding to that.
There you go. And then Illinois at Indiana, we liked the home team there, but Illinois, they're playing good. It was a great game. They were winning the whole game until the very end. Indiana did win the game, but did not cover the 6 points. So we were on the wrong side there. Wisconsin, our great, the Badgers. What happened, Badgers? We're on your side now, and you screw us.
I know. I got suckered into betting them again tonight against Iowa. We'll see if they actually get a home win.
Yeah, we know that's not going to happen, but that's okay. But Rutgers getting a road win. Congratulations. But we were on Kentucky against Tennessee at home, and we'll talk about them in a minute. They are playing very well. They just won again on the road this time at Florida. Talk about them in a minute. Okay, Baylor, Kansas. This is funny. So we got a little bit of action. I'm really happy that Whitney is listening. Whitney Lampere was out in Portland. Huge diehard Jayhawk fan. So I post the podcast, and then like I don't know, an hour later she's like, I give the edge to Kansas. We had talked about Baylor in this one as they were getting the points on the road, and in the first half, Baylor was killing them. They're up 13 and a half. I'm like,
Yeah.
woo, this is coming in. Second half, I mean, the Jayhawks blew the doors off of them. They won by like 17 or something, right? I mean, they just crushed them in the second half, outscoring Baylor. I think it was like 54 to 25 or something crazy, or maybe bigger than that. It was really bad. So they just destroyed Baylor going down. They actually won another big game this week. So Kansas playing pretty good.
Yeah, that win on Monday night was pretty impressive too at TCU. To back that up, coming off of the huge win at Baylor was uber impressive.
And Whitney, as she says on the message, don't doubt my knowledge of KU. So sorry, Whitney. You know.
Yeah, we should have
Um,
backed Baylor in the first half, as it turns out.
yes. Now, in retrospect, so the first half of Memphis did not come in.
Yeah,
They did not cover the first half line, but they covered the game against Houston plus 12. So again, Houston still won the game. They're still the class of that conference, but they didn't cover the 12 points. And then lastly, Texas, they got it done against Iowa State big time. That and winning on the road in Big 12 is very hard. So, so overall, we're hanging tough, 50-50. It's a little losing money, but we're just trying to get a feel here.
yeah, for sure.
And overall, if you look, I mean, some of these home teams didn't come in, which is really interesting. So, a little different take. So this week, and before I get into the games themselves, I kind of wanted to talk about, not that I'm an expert at all. Action, is traditionally much better. It's had a tough year so far in college, but what I've been looking at, Action, is teams, because when I started tracking a couple weeks ago, I just track them against the spread, right? So I just go putting down the spread. Did they win their game? Did they win against the spread? I don't really care if they win against the spread. So what you notice in college basketball, really not unlike the NFL, I suppose, but in the NFL, you do get teams get streaky and you really want to back those guys. Remember the Lions and Bengals and stuff. In college, it's really hard to find teams that can cover the spread. To be honest with you, when you look at it, almost every team is split. They're either 3-3, 2-4, 4-3, right in the middle. So finding those teams that are 6-1 at this point in the last seven, 5-2, or on the opposite side, I want to find those teams that are 1-6. Tennessee, Tennessee 1-6 against the spread. I want to go against those teams, and I did that last night. So I picked up Texas A&M, they're a pretty good ball club. They ended up beating Tennessee, and that was one of my angles. Tennessee, of course, on the road is just not good. That's the other thing I'm looking at. We've talked about home teams, but these big power teams they're high up in Ken Palm, but they go on the road, they just can't play. And Tennessee's one of those teams. The other team I've been kind of eyeing and liking lately on a positive side, the Miami Hurricanes. Love this team. I think they're the best team in the ACC. I know it's not saying much this year, but they got a big win against Virginia Tech last night. They're 6-1 against the spread in their last seven. They're obviously they're first place now in the ACC for a reason, but I like that team. So some of those teams that fall into that mix, we've got, as I mentioned, Kansas 6-1 against the spread. They have been killing it. They've been doing great. You're right, Winnie. You're the greatest.
So to clarify, you're looking to back these teams that are going on streaks, like
yes.
to bet on the streak to continue, either
Correct.
positively or negatively. Okay.
Yes, I would bet on the streak to continue. I will ride them until they start faltering a little bit. Because, like I said, I'm just looking for an edge. All these other teams are 3-3 against the spread. It's usually home or away or something. So yeah, Kansas 6-1 against the spread. We've got, as I mentioned, Miami 6-1 against the spread. A&M, Texas A&M 5-0 against the spread when I started tracking them. I only get them when they're in the top 45 of Ken Palm. Kentucky 5-2 against the spread in their last seven. Like that team quite a bit. And then on the opposite side, it's not like any great shake. Some of these teams aren't great, but Duke 2-5 against the spread. I like to go against those teams. Who's another? We already mentioned Tennessee. They're on my shit list, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, Boise State, which is a game tonight against Mexico. 0-5 against the spread lately. Action. I know you're not looking at the Mountain West much, but you got to pick these teams that are on losing, or at least maybe not losing streaks, just can't cover streaks. And
Sure.
North Carolina also 1-5 against the spread. They're playing Notre Dame tonight.
Yeah, quite a fall for the Tar Heels from last year's run to the national championship. Now they're like on the bubble looking out right now.
It's amazing. They were in the national title game. They have a lot of the same players, but maybe they just caught lightning in a bottle last year. They were just kind of, because they really closed the season. Remember, maybe they got crushed against Duke in
Yeah.
January or something, and then they turned it around. They just haven't flipped the switch. But teams like Kentucky, they were on the bubble a week or so ago. Now they've gotten some wins. I think he's finally getting his team to play better. Well, looking at that, let's talk about some of these teams. I don't think I mentioned this team, but Illinois is pretty good against the spread too. They're 4-2 going to the game against Northwestern. So the first game on our list this week is on Thursday. That's tomorrow, the 23rd. Northwestern is going to Illinois. This is a 9 o'clock Eastern start, pretty late. Northwestern is a 5.5 point dog on the road. So Northwestern's been a darling this year. They're playing great. Their metrics aren't superior, but you got to pay attention to them. They obviously play great defense from what I can see. They're 20th in defense. So what do you think about this game with Illinois? I mean, obviously it's at Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a team that's streaking. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go there with Northwestern 5-0
Yeah.
in their last 5 games, and I think when you go back, they're kind of 8-2 in the last
Mhm.
10. So, I mean, a team that is playing extremely good basketball, and I think they're up to second place in the Big Ten right now. So,
Yeah.
I would lean to the Northwestern side here on the road, even going against that incredibly strong Big Ten ATS home record this season.
Right. So you would go with them or you would not?
Yeah, I like Northwestern in this game. I
Mhm.
have not been impressed with Illinois despite their close loss last weekend at Indiana. I think this is a team that has a really short rotation right now. I know
Mhm.
that TJ Shannon was out last weekend with the concussion-like symptoms, so
Right.
I do think that he's going to come back, but I don't expect him to be like his full 100% self, and he's their top scorer. So I would definitely side with Northwestern in this game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just use. So here's the thing: Northwestern just popped up in the top 45 at Ken Pump, so I haven't been tracking them against the spread.
Okay.
I'm assuming that they have done really well. Like you said, they're 5-0, and they usually are. They're not favored in all those games, so they're probably
Mhm.
playing pretty well. I'm gonna stick with my trend though. I'm gonna take Illinois at home just because they're 4-2 against the spread. It's pretty close to that middle line, but they're both pretty good teams. I mean, Illinois is 52 in offense, 28 in defense. I like that they're balanced. And I just kind of feel like, well, we'll see. Northwestern's been surprising everybody, but I don't know how they've done on the road. I think it's more at home, right?
No, actually, well, I mean, yes and no. Obviously, the last couple of big wins were on home turf at
Mhm.
in Evanston, but they have gotten some good road wins this season as well.
Okay. Well, we're on opposite sides of that one, which is fine. So on Saturday, no Friday night action, buddy. I'm sorry. You're going to have to bet on the Quakes. Last week, by the way, the Quakes got a big win against Yale on Friday night. They're up at top of
Oh
the
yeah, I've been following the Quakes.
So Saturday we've got a nice, I put 5 games on this one. Arkansas at Alabama. These are two, really good teams. Obviously, Alabama is, I think they're number one this week. TBD. You can see if they get. Oh no, Houston's number one. They're number two this week in the AP, but they're way up there. Arkansas has been. They had a little streak and then they kind of cooled off. They're still playing good basketball, but you're showing that Arkansas would be a 10-point dog in Alabama. What do the metrics say on this one? I mean, it's a lot of points, although Alabama's really good and being at home is obviously a big advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama is probably one of the top 5 teams in the
Mhm.
nation, and certainly a dark horse, not a dark horse, but like a favorite to win the national championship. But I mean, this is a team that is in significant amount of turmoil. I don't know if you've seen the news the
Yeah,
last day and a
no.
half. super freshman Brandon Miller has been implicated in some role in this shooting and murder that
Yes.
occurred. And the coach Oates is now getting dragged into it. And I know they're playing tonight. I'm not really sure what the score is, but I don't think this is a good thing for the program whatsoever. And so
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be looking to fade Alabama everywhere that I can.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I put this game on there before all that stuff, but basically, yeah, the story that Action's talking about, the young man who killed somebody, he asked for this freshman, superstar for them to just bring him his gun. Now, Miller, he's just bringing the guy his gun. I mean, not that I have a gun. I don't know about you. I don't have to get into guns, but he's just, hey, bring me my gun. It just happened to be that the guy got the gun and then he killed somebody. So supposedly they're saying, at least the authorities are saying, there's nothing to charge Miller with. But like you said, huge distraction, and he's a young guy, and he's definitely one of these guys who runs their team. I've seen him play. He's an incredible player. So I guess we're saying we'd be Arkansas plus 10 in this one.
I would take the points with Arkansas, definitely. I mean, even outside of all that, I think 10 is a lot,
Right.
despite Alabama's really gaudy numbers and their propensity to blow teams out. I mean, this Arkansas team plays good defense. I mean, they're third ranked nationally defensively, and I think that they could keep this game within touching distance.
Yeah. All right. Well, highlight that one. Okay, so the next game, back to the Big 12 every weekend. Got to do a Big 12 game. So Texas is playing at Baylor this time. Texas, this is an interesting team. This team, every week, I'm like, okay, I want to back Texas, but they're one of these 3-3 against the spread teams. They go on the road, they don't do as well. But is Baylor tough enough to stand up to Texas? They can. I watched it at least the first half. That was the funny thing about that Kansas game over the weekend. I actually played volleyball, was out for a while doing some stuff, watched the first half of this game. And I'm like, oh, they're just lighting it up. Take a nap. I took a nap at halftime, Action. Never take a nap. Wake up. I'm like, is this the right score? They're down by 15? So the thing about the Baylor is they can score. Their perimeter is really good in terms of scoring, but they don't have the same toughness that Texas would have on the inside. So you're showing a 2-point dog actually for Texas. Is that enough value for you to jump on board? Or you can stick with Baylor here.
No, I'm going to side with the home team, Baylor. I mean, they've been really dominant at home this season. I think they're only a couple of losses at home, actually, early in conference play, TCU and Kansas State. But Keontae George is a super freshman in his own right, and he really carries this team. And despite their lackluster defensive performance, I think the offense, number 2 ranked in adjusted efficiency, is enough to put them over the top in this one.
All right, we'll highlight that one. Next one, we just talked about two teams that can't get it right against the spread. You got Virginia at North Carolina. You're showing North Carolina as a 2-point favorite at home. I'm not sure I would pick that, but hey, here, let's talk about these teams. We know that North Carolina has talent, but they haven't performed. Virginia has, isn't Kihei Clark still on this team? He's like 75 years old now. And he's still playing point guard there. But I just don't like Virginia in general. I'm going to fade them in March, by the way. But, I mean, they're a tough defensive team. So I'm not really sure what to make of this game. On the road, I'd probably go with North Carolina, but I don't like that they're favored.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call for me. I'm probably going to sit on the sidelines. I think the number at 2 is pretty close to about right.
All right. Well, we'll maybe remove that from our picks then. But
we feel the same way.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, Virginia, I would say under. If I had to gun to head, make a bet in this game, it would be under.
That's fair. We'll do the under. Does KenPom do the projected totals or
no? You bet they do. Old Ken has a total in this game, and it is 144.
Yeah, we're going on under 144 then this week.
Sorry, scratch that. 134.
Oh, 134. Yeah, this seems really high. 134. Okay, great. Okay, here we go. Part 2, the rematch. Indiana going to Purdue. We know that Indiana won a couple weeks ago. Your dad was all excited, probably talking smack to you and everything. Now it's your chance to get back with Purdue hosting the Hoosiers. Purdue is looking like a 9-point favorite per KenPom. I should have mentioned this is 7:30 Eastern, so it's a primetime game. what I've seen also, action, I'm not saying it's a perfect story, but there's a lot of revenge angles this year. It's like
Yeah.
nobody can beat anybody twice. I just watched, Providence get beat, as they went to UConn, they beat them early in the year. We talked about Kansas early at TCU on Monday. They had gotten beat at home against TCU. So is this the revenge spot for Purdue?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this has been a house of horrors for Indiana the last several years. And I mean, going on, I would be really surprised to see the spread open up at 9. I think
Me too.
10 is a little heavy here. I would venture to guess it's going to be closer to like 6.5 or 7 points. But
Mhm.
Purdue has been really dominant at home this season. Outside of the one loss to Rutgers, they've really
Mhm.
blown their opponents off the court. And I think Zach Edey and the freshman scorers are going to be able to play a lot better at home this year. And on the flip side, Indiana has shot very poorly on the road. Last
Mhm.
night at Michigan State, they didn't play very well in the second half. And I think this is going to be a tough game for Indiana to cover on the road. So I would definitely take Purdue.
Yeah, agreed. I'm all on the revenge spot here. That's my angle. But I think that Indiana, I still like them. We've talked about them. I like their team, but and frankly, that game against Illinois gave me a little pause. They didn't play that great. They probably
Yeah.
should have lost the game at home, it didn't make a lot of sense. So we'll see. I mean, it'll be still a great matchup to watch on Saturday night.
hmm I
Last
will.
game,
I was going to add too. I will play the. I like the total to go over as well. In the first game, I saw that Coach Woodson put Edie in the pick and roll defense a lot, and I think that is a really difficult cover for him. They like to play a lot of drop coverage, and I think Hochefino went off against Purdue in the first game, and I would expect if they play that same coverage, that Indiana should be able to find some success and help this go over the total.
what does Ken Pom say for total?
141.
41. Okay, last game on Saturday, St. Mary's at the Zags. This is a very late game, action. You don't have to stay up if you don't want to. I'll tell you what happens. 10 o'clock p.m. on Eastern Time. You're showing the Zags as a 2-point favorite at home, short favorite. Now the St. Mary still stays ahead of them in the Ken Palm ratings, overall. But I have noticed the Zags have been playing a little bit better. Now they don't play a lot of defense on this team, but their offense is incredible. I think it's another revenge spot. St. Mary's got them in overtime, if I recall correctly, at home in Moraga. So I think when you go up to Spokane, it's going to be Zags all the way.
Yeah, I concur. And the first game, I did stay up for like the first 10 minutes, and Gonzaga was dominant in the first
They
half.
were.
And I remember waking up the next morning and checking the box score. It looks like St. Mary's made a run in the second half behind the freshman Mahaney. And I'm not so sure that Mahaney will be able to score like that at Gonzaga. So I think definitely edge to the Zags.
Okay. Last game I highlighted is in the Mountain West. The Aztecs, the San Diego State, are going to Boise State. This is 9 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday night. That's the 28th. So, look, Boise got beat when they were playing in San Diego State. I think we talked about this game. I still think I like the Aztecs, though, even though they're on the road. If they're getting 2 points, especially, I mean, they're playing really well. I always say this every year. We get so excited about these stupid Mountain West teams and they stink in the
Yeah,
tournament.
no
But
kidding.
I
Talk
mean, they're
about
top
fade
17.
materials.
They're top 17 in Ken Palm this year, man. They got to do it. So this is, to me, I would definitely take those points if this showed up. I think it's probably going to be more, maybe a shorter a pick or 1 point San Diego, but I would still take that again in this game.
Ooh, I'm gonna go the other way and take Boise
Okay.
in this one. I know that you mentioned they're on a 0-5 ATS streak, but they're playing tonight. The potential to get
Yeah.
another cover, and defensively they're 11th ranked. And I think as long as they can bottle up the San Diego State scorer Matt Bradley, they should be able to cover this one at home.
Okay. You got two opposite games. I like that action. It harkens back to season one when we
Yeah.
used to go head to head every week. I do
Bonus pick
recall
on
getting a steak out of that.
That's right. Bonus pick on Tuesday night as well.
Okay.
Indiana opportunity to bounce back after the predicted big loss at Purdue. They're coming back to Bloomington to play against Iowa, and
They're playing at
Indiana
home in
really
that one?
at home Tuesday night. I think Indiana shoots the lights out and they get Iowa -5.
All right.
Indiana -5.
Bonus pick from action on Tuesday night. All right, there we go. I've got it in the books, buddy. So I put down golf tourney. Is there anything going on? First of all, did we already talk about this? We didn't talk about this. So last week, I don't know. Obviously, I didn't watch the tournament at all. All I saw was on Twitter that all of a sudden there's tampons and whatever.
Oh,
What in God's name was happening? What? So Tiger, first of all, I had a couple questions on this. This is more important than anything that we're going to talk about tonight. If you're Tiger Woods, I understand he's probably a jokester. He knows Justin Thomas or whatever. He's going to slip him this tampon thing apparently because he's to stop the bleeding, as they say. First of all, I bought tampons twice in my life, and I've been married twice, and I have a daughter. Like, what are you doing? You literally went to buy some of these things, had them in your golf bag just in case this happens? Is this a running joke? I mean, I know he obviously apologized for it, and it didn't look very good on social media, but my biggest thing was, why the hell does he have one of those things on hand anyway?
That's a really good question that I hadn't considered. I don't know if they're left over from the last time he played a tournament, late 2000s. I don't know. But I mean, I was telling Alyssa, I think like maybe I don't know. I guess you could argue whether it's funny or not, but like Tiger just shows you how out of touch he is with the new world because like in the mid 2000s, there are no cameras or like social media for all of this to blow up. I'm sure he did that all the time when he was kicking ass in that era. But nowadays with the cameras and like that picture, like the zoomed in picture was on social media in 10 minutes. And then of course the firestorm and the backlash and the apology. So just a interesting story altogether.
I didn't want to just detract from the actual tournament. I mean, John Rahm gets the win, which we will probably have a Masters episode, so I guess we should talk a little bit about golf. But I mean, I do like him. He's a great player. He hasn't made it quite that, he hasn't won the Masters, right? So, maybe it's his year. Should be fun.
John Rahm is on an absolute tear right now. I think that's like 5 out of the last 7 tournaments that he's won, that he's played in. Aided on Friday by a little bit of luck in the par 5, 8th or 17th. I think he was like 250 out. He took out a 3-wood and just clanged one off the bleachers 40 yards away from the green, and it bounced to 2 feet for eagle. So,
really?
Yeah. It's nice to be the pros, right? You can just hit them off the grandstands and they bounce right back into play. Maybe I should play like that. But that was pretty entertaining. And then he went on to win.
Can you hit a 3-wood 270? I mean, that's what he did.
Well, no, not quite. Like 220. So
on the roll, I'm sure. But so we don't have a tournament to talk about this week, but we'll keep in mind as the bigger ones come up approaching the Masters, so we keep you guys abreast.
Yeah, they are headed to Florida this week. I think it's the Honda, not a tournament that I really get enthused about, so I probably won't be doing much.
Doesn't move the needle for action here. Okay. Well, we still got some spots here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots here to review. Next week, 7 actually. Oh, 6. Yeah. Well, you like the total as well, so we like 7 spots there to do it. We'll go ahead and head on a couple of them, and from there. And so, any plans this weekend? More laying low? You're kind of saving energy for the big trip. I can feel it.
That's right. Yeah, I think my parents are going to come up and visit. Gonna go around town, have some nice dinner, and then of course we'll settle into the couch on Saturday night for the big Indiana-Purdue matchup.
Are there any side wagers?
I don't know. We haven't talked about that. We'll see. I'm sure Mark has been really into the Big Ten home team trends so far this season, and to a profitable end, of course. So it'll be interesting to see if he likes the Boilers on Saturday night.
Yeah, we'll see if he goes against the alma mater. Even though he's going to be wearing those pants, right? The red pinstripe one, the alternating color ones.
I think Jeff is the only person in my family that owns the candy stripes.
That's too bad. Yeah, for me, no real plans. My brother's still in town. It's his birthday on Friday, so that's exciting. I'll be at my mom's. Try to lay low. Saturday, no plans. You know what that means? That means God knows what's going to happen. It's going to be crazy, or nothing. Maybe it'll be nothing for once.
4 a.m. holiday club.
Yeah, could be. I mean,
what's the bar on Belmont and Sheffield? Like old big city tap. Is that still alive?
Oh yeah, it's still there. I haven't been there in a long time, but it doesn't mean I won't go there. I almost went to Baby Atlas. Have you ever been to Baby Atlas?
No, never heard of it.
It's like underground bar Matilda. Um, I've never been there. I was intrigued, but I went to a known commodity. I knew they were going to be dancing at Holiday Club. Didn't know I was going to see people I knew, but anyway, we'll see what happens. More reporting on that next week. I know everybody wants to know, but we're 3 weeks away. Action 3 weeks now from the big trip. My buddy Dave Strickland, who is a volleyball guy, he's definitely going. He's staying at the Strat. We talked about it. We'll meet up
Nice.
with him and his buddy at some point. I think they may have different plans on Thursday, but pretty exciting. I'm ready. We got to reach out to. Well, I talked to Prime a little bit already. We haven't heard from Dempsey in a while. He hasn't sent us any hockey action. I don't know what's going on. I know. I mean, the Flyers did lose to Blackhawks at home this year. That's the first time in like 30 years. But
Wow.
other than
Whoopsie.
that, if you're listening, Dempsey, give us some picks. You got 2 weeks to do it before we get out there, and you can photobomb us.
That's right.
All right. Well, follow me at wegspool.com on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram.
And follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
All right. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.